Hi guys, I'm Martin. I've been a dating and relationship coach for 17 years and I've worked with guys from all over the world. And today we're going to talk about why more success and more money will not solve your relationship problems. This is really being pushed so much. If you look at guys like Fresh and Fit or Andrew Tate or any number of guys in the manosphere, it's always money, 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 success, 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 be so high status that she won't, that she can't go anywhere else. The reality is women are very different from guys. Yes, okay, there are groupies, for example, right? So groupies are usually around bands, but they don't have to be. They can be for, sports figures. And yeah, there are groupies, but the reason they're called groupies is because they're a very specific type of girl. Most girls are not groupies. If they won't just bang a dude because he's really high status. That's not how it works. Yes, they would like the idea of being with a really successful, famous person, but most of them are not dumb enough to believe that that guy is going to give them the quality of relationship they want. That's why you don't have women just camped outside of every famous person's house all the time, leaving no women for the rest of us. That's just, they understand that that's just not really going to make them happy. Okay, so in your case, if you already have a woman and she's already with you and she's been with you for a while, even if it's not a while, you have already met her minimum requirements for success. Usually. There occasionally, if you're a young guy, if you're 25 or something like that, that's a little bit different because at that age, girls understand that you're still building yourself up to the level. So she's investing in that potential future that you're moving towards, that she sees you moving towards. But if you're, late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, something like that, she may want you to do better, but she's selecting you because she's already satisfied with the level that you're at. And so more money doesn't really help her. It's like, okay, well, more money allows you to buy her more things, or maybe get a slightly nicer villa, or it doesn't really impact her real experience of being with you. What really impacts her experience of being with you is the connection she feels with you. And you can't build a stronger connection at the office in front of your computer. You build a stronger connection by paying attention to her, by spending time with her, by getting to know her. And actually, there's a really great book. I don't agree with everything in there, especially like the infidelity chapter, but there's a really great book called 8 Dates by Gottman. I can't remember his first name. Maybe it's Daniel or something. But anyway, Gottman. Stephen? Anyway, the last name, Gottman. Gottman. Oh, Paul Gottman. Okay.
Paul Gottman or something?
Okay. Yeah, so that guy. And it's a great book. And that book is about how to have deep conversations with women. Now, I don't think that the way he does it is really, it's not the ideal way in my opinion, but it's very structured. And so if you are a total idiot about this stuff, you can just follow what's in the book. The way that I think you should do it is through something we call hero stories. Now, you may be familiar with what a hero story is because there's been more and more discussion about it in the general society and media, because it's kind of the basis for how to construct, how most movies are constructed and most stories are constructed and things like that. And the key aspect of the hero story, the hero's journey, is that you have a person who starts here and goes and has some experience that is different, out of their comfort zone. And that experience transforms them in some way, whether that's because they learn something new, they have some new perspectives, they get some skill or ability, it affects them and makes them better in some way. And then once they've gone through that experience, they then use what they've gotten from that experience to make the world and the people around them better. And then they're back at the familiar again. Okay, that's the very basic structure of the story. And we have hero stories at all points of our life. We're always going through a journey. And sharing those points of your journey with your woman is an important aspect of building a stronger, deeper connection with her. And that can be about telling her stories from when you were a child and that explain why you are the way you are today, or how you are the way you are today. Or maybe not how you are the way you are today, how that led you to something that then led you to something else that then led you to something else. Because it's a series, just like, any kind of television series where there's all these different parts and each part leads into the next part to the next part to the next part. I tell a story about how when I was a kid, I went to an ice cream shop with my dad and I got a cone. It was the first time I ever got a cone, and I licked the cone and it fell off. I was probably 4 or 5 or something like that, and it fell off and hit the ground, and that was it. My dad didn't get me another scoop. That was my ice cream for months probably. And now because of that, for years, probably until I was about 25, I never got an ice cream cone. I always got the cup. And it's kind of this story that tells you a little something about my dad, what my dad was like, and about me. And then it leads into something about, why was it that at some point I decided to do cones again? What was the catalyst that made me realize that, I could leave that behind, or made it so that I changed that, or whatever. So, these kind of stories, when you share them with women, that's what makes them feel a deeper connection with you and makes them feel like they really know you. And if you don't spend time with her, then you're not going to have the time or even maybe the thought of sharing these stories with her. And that's really, and when you share those kind of stories, she's going to start to share more with you. You probably think she shares maybe more than you want already, but she's more likely to share them with you. And then you can ask her questions about herself too. So for example, a very typical question is, when you were growing up, what did you want to be? And she says, I wanted to be whatever. And then you say, oh, interesting. Okay, so you wanted to be that. So why aren't you? Let's say she wanted to be a nurse. You say, oh, well, you wanted to be a nurse. How come you didn't decide to be a nurse? And now she's going to tell you a story about, well, I wanted to be a nurse for these reasons, but then I realized later on that these reasons weren't important. Or I did try to be a nurse, but then this happened, and then this happened. And the key thing about these stories is they're not about what happened. They're about how the person felt about what happened. So that's really the key, is not, well, this happened and this happened. It's sort of like, okay, and how did you feel about that? How did the other people in your life feel about that? That's really what makes it so that you can understand the other person deeply, and that they really feel that you are caring about them and are paying attention to them. And more time in the office just doesn't do that. Now, the other thing is that a key aspect of a good relationship, and keeping a good relationship good and making it better, is shared experiences. It's very common that when we're with someone, our life falls into a rut and we have a certain pattern with them. And you need to break up that pattern. This is also where a list comes in very handy. Oftentimes at the beginning of the relationship, you think, oh, this person's so amazing. There's all these things we can do. And you think about all these plans you have for them, but then you have your real life, and your real life gets in the way of all those plans. Well, if you make a list of the things that you're talking about doing, write them down somewhere. So that, when you're looking at, hey, what are we doing this weekend? Oh, I don't really have anything that I'm doing this weekend. And just doing the normal thing, you can pull out your list and you can look at something on there. And you can say, hey, you know what, babe, let's do this week. And she's going to go, oh yeah, that's great. Oh yeah, oh yeah, I really want to do that. And it doesn't have to be something big. It just has to be something that's different from what you normally do. So once again, that is not something that you're going to learn from the office or while sitting in front of your computer. Now, you may need to do some research on the computer, but that's about as far as it goes. I don't know. Is there anything else?
Just a focus on money, focus on making more money, thinking that's going to solve your relationship problems.
Yeah, I don't know why people think that. I guess people think that because when you're good at something, you want that to be the solution to all your problems, right? It's much easier for something you're already good at to be the solution than to have to learn something new and be uncomfortable.
Yeah, because it's like if I focus on making more money, then I'll get a better girl. Then all these problems will go away. And that girl that I attract when I have more money won't give me these problems.
Oh,
That's the thought process that a lot of guys have.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, this is this pervasive myth that's in the, especially, guys like, once again, Tate and Fresh and Fit. These guys really push this idea that there are some women out there that will cause you no problems. Not true. Not true. It's not because they're women, it's because they're people. People are problems. And the more time you spend with people, the more problems they will cause you. And that's not because they're terrible. That's just the way it works. It's like you're going to cause her more problems by being around too. That's just the way it is. And the key is to find people who you don't mind dealing with their problems because you think their positive qualities are so good that the problems are not a big deal. Now, so there's this, I could get a better girl. I really, okay, you could get a more attractive girl. That's true. But what does better mean? You have to really think about what better means for you, because what better means for you is not the same as what better means for me. And generally, better is not going to be something that's going to be solved with money. The only thing that money solves, okay, this is why money is good when it comes to dating. Money is good because one of the goals should be creating unique experiences. And something being expensive automatically makes it a unique experience. So it means that you don't need as much creativity to create a unique experience. You could just take her to some, fine dining restaurant that, almost nobody can ever go to because it's so expensive. And now it's unique. And this is what you're seeing on Instagram all these days, all the time. And it drives me nuts. Whereas you can instead take the time to find some unique place that is really special for some reason. And you can take her to that place that is unique. And it's not about money, it's about time and effort and knowledge. Right? That's really the thing. The money is just a lazy way to create unique experiences. But the problem is that anybody else with money can create those unique experiences too. And so it doesn't really express your personality. And that's one of the things I really, really despise about what's going on these days with the social media, because nobody wants to have actual unique experiences. They just want to have experiences that everybody knows about, but most people don't do. To me, that's not special. What's special is having experiences that are unique because most people wouldn't have thought of it. That, to me, is a unique experience. And most people wouldn't have thought of it or been interested in or thought about that experience because they don't know her specifically, right? So you know her, so you can create a tailored experience that is special to her, not a generic, unique experience that everyone knows about and is, it drives me nuts.
Talk about the better. I need better. Go back to that point about better girl. What does that mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't, you need to figure out what better means for you personally, because there may not really be, better. There's different. That's usually what you can get. Yes, there's more attractive by your standards, right? And when it comes to personality, there might be some personalities that you prefer. Okay, and that might be better, but that's not something you attract because you have more money. That's something you attract because I wouldn't say you attract it. That's something that you discover and that you find, right? Guys have this fantasy, so women have, their fantasies, and this is a male fantasy. Oh, if I just make more money, then all the beautiful women will just fall from the sky. But one thing, I remember when I was growing up, my mom used to say to me, all you got to do is get a good job and a good woman will come and find you. Well, you know what? What she didn't tell me is that the bad women will find you too. And the bad women will find you faster. I'm telling you, they find you faster. I mean, I've touched on this in another place, but, I generally think that most women who will come after you, you don't really want to be with them. I went out with a girl, and when I met her off Tinder, and she said to me, oh, there was another guy that wanted to meet me the same night. He just invited me straight to his house, but you were going to take me out. So that's why I went with you. Now, I don't know, maybe that guy was also way more attractive than me. Probably, because I never invite girls straight to my house because it never leads me to get anything good. So, maybe he's more attractive than me. So, he can run that and it can work for him. But in my case, I don't do that because, I don't want to just have ugly bitches showing up at my house, I don't. I mean, they might be very beautiful on the inside. I'm not saying they can't be beautiful on the inside, but I just, I don't, then you got to try and kick her out later. I mean, it's just, my attractiveness level doesn't allow me to find women coming straight over to my place. Okay. That's the reality. I wish it's not true. I wish it wasn't true, but it is. And most of you who are watching this video, that's true for you too. I don't care how much money you have. Any girl who sees your money and wants to be with you is not a girl that you want to be with, almost invariably. And oftentimes, interestingly, a lot of my clients, they learned how to date and how to be successful with women when they didn't have money. And then when they got money, it actually made things worse. It made things more difficult because girls were thinking, oh, this guy probably gets all these girls. They're always coming over. They're always seeing him. They see how much money he has and they want to be with him. And they made it more difficult. I had a client, he downgraded his apartment. He got a less nice apartment because in his really nice apartment, he got so many girls not wanting, they'd come over, they'd see it, wow, and then they wouldn't want to sleep with him because they'd be worried that, he's just always sleeping with random women and they don't want to be the next slut, right? That's in their mind. They're like, oh, I don't want to be one of those slutty girls who just comes over and begs. So these are good women, right? Because they're not obviously gold diggers. That's why they weren't just trying to, get in there easily and grab him. And they're thinking, oh, he probably has a lot of women. Maybe, I'm not going to be one that he's going to really think much of. He downgraded his apartment. I know another guy, he lived in a really nice apartment. He would lie and tell girls he lived somewhere else. and they'd only find out when they went back to his place that he had a really nice place. Whereas, because if he did it the other way, the girls would go, oh, he's probably a playboy. He probably has all these girls. Oh, whatever. So, guys have a lot of this idea. They got it wrong a lot of the times. And so most of the guys, they believe me, they wish that after they got all that money, they could have used it for girls, but it didn't really help in getting girls. Now it does help in your relationships in a way. Because you can make things a lot easier for you and for the girl. And I'm not talking about being lazy in terms of creating experiences, but I'm talking about things like, you can get the girl a taxi instead of her taking public transportation, things like that. So it means that there's less energy for her. It's necessary for her to come and meet you. It means that, if you want her to dress a certain way, then you can buy the clothes for her that you want her to dress, or you can give her the money that you want her to, how you want her to dress. Things like that. That's how money is helpful, but it's not helpful in terms of getting girls. What you really want is a girl who's totally happy taking public transportation, who buys her own clothes and is happy with what she wears and doesn't mind spending her own money on it, but is really happy for you to offer to take care of her at like a slightly higher level. That's really what you want. A girl who's okay with a kind of normal life, but will enjoy if there's more. I don't know, did I answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay. I probably answered about 5 questions.
I think that's enough for that video.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, if you have any questions that I didn't answer, put them in the comments below. Once again, don't be a dick in the comments section. I don't like dicks. See ya.